Change is inevitable, let's face it, and in the world of theater, change is either readily accepted or trampled like an old lady on Black Friday.
For instance, in ancient times, when theater changed from having several people speaking monologues to actually having dialogue between characters, this was a welcome addition to the medium. An all-black version of The Wizard of Oz called The Wiz, you've probably never heard of it, received mixed reviews upon its release but was later lauded as a staple of Broadway. The most recent adaptation of The Crucible has been updated with costumes and technology, yet left the dialogue intact. People are saying it's actually kind of really bad.
It's like asking a Lutheran to change a light bulb.
Hey Bob, would you mind changing that light bulb over there?
Change? We don't take kindly to that here. Okay.
Shakespeare's Macbeth is a prime example of change. It has been regarded as one of Shakespeare's classics, but for the past 150 years, it's been considered as one of the most cursed plays ever. But is this just due to the fact that theater people are just naturally superstitious? Or do these fears hold some relevance and historical context?
And that's why I'm here, to be confused and do the research for you. But before we dive into the Fortis Fortuna that is Macbeth, let's go into some well-known theater superstitions. Now, people of theater are always known to have been kooky, spooky, and altogether ooky, and this actually holds some weight.
Most people involved in theater believe that a performance can quickly go south if certain circumstances arise.
There are three main superstitions that have some historical context.
Number 1, the ghost light.
Now, this one has a very practical effect on the maintenance of a theater. You need light.
This superstition states that there always needs to be a light or candle shining somewhere in a theater in order to keep workers from plunging 20 feet into the orchestra pit. Others say that you need a light to appease the apparitions that apparently every theater has.
It's so comforting to know that in every theater I've been in, there's just been the slightest chance of possession. So good.
Number 2, no whistling.
Now this one struck me as a bit odd. According to All You Wanted to Know About Theatrical Curses But Were Too Afraid to Ask.com, related to a similar rule for sailing ships, it is considered bad luck for an actor to whistle on or off stage. As original stage crews were hired from ships in port, theatrical riggings had its origins in sail rigging. Sailors, and by extension theatrical riggers, used coded whistles to communicate scene changes. Actors who whistled would confuse them into changing the set or scenery and could result in injury or death. In today's theaters, the stage crew normally uses an intercom system or light cues. Kind of fascinating, really. I mean, who knew that whistling could be the detriment to someone's life? I mean, those Breakfast Club kids would be dead.
Number 3, the Scottish play is cursed and you're screwed if you mention its name before a performance.
Now this one is fairly self-explanatory.
Macbeth is said to be cursed, so actors avoid saying its name when in the theater. The euphemism the Scottish play is used instead.
Actors also avoid even saying lines from Macbeth, including the witch's incantations.
If an actor even speaks the name Macbeth in the theater prior to one of the performances, he or she has to, in this order, leave the theater building, spin around 3 times, spit, curse,
Your mother was a
and then knock to be allowed back in.
Can I come in? I'm sorry.
But honestly, if you didn't know that, it's okay. A lot of theatrical people didn't know either. Now, what caused Macbeth to be so cursed? I mean, there are some people that say that it lies within the very first performance of the show.
The theory goes that Shakespeare included actual black magic spells in the incantations of the witches. Those who appear in the play or those who mention the play's name within the confines of a theater risk having these evil brought down on their heads. It's said that before the first performance of the play, Shakespeare presented the scenes with the witches as a preview to the actual witches he knew. Why did Shakespeare know witches?
'Cause.
Offended, the witches apparently cursed the play, and as a result, during the first week, the young man playing Lady Macbeth was speared to death before his first entrance.
Now, the curse of Macbeth could also be chalked up to bad luck, and by definition, bad luck means unfortunate circumstances followed by unfortunate results, and this could be due in part to the fact that Macbeth has a lot of fight scenes.
There's a lot of fighting and physical action in Macbeth. It's inevitable that during the long run of the play, someone is going to get hurt. After a few of these stories get around, you get the curse of Macbeth.
There's this one story that's really interesting, but it's debated whether or not it holds any historical context.
In one production of Macbeth, nothing went wrong until the fight scene between Macbeth and Macduff. Both actors had round, Celtic-style shields strapped to their forearms of their left arms. The fight was very physical. The actor playing Macbeth made a violent move with his left arm, and the shield left his arm and flew like a frisbee for 20 feet across the stage. Sitting in the front row directly opposite the shield sat two nuns.
I don't know about you, but I would be having none of that. You knew it was funny. And it's stories like that that have made people change their perceptions about Shakespeare's debatably most famous play.
Directors change up plays like The Crucible because it doesn't seem wrong to do so. Macbeth, to my knowledge, is almost always performed with costumes and props of the era, almost as if people are afraid to update it like they're afraid to poke a sleeping bear.
Oh, but what if it makes the curse mad?
A cute notion, really. I mean, curses don't have feelings. They're not going to cry if you beat them up for their lunch money, and they're not going to rear their ugly head if you try to change the material. I believe that this particular superstition is a... Do I actually believe in this curse? I mean, the theatrical part of me says yes you do, and you need to believe in it or else these witchy witches are gonna, like, burn in your witchy witch pit and you're gonna be doing witchy things to you. But the logical part of me says...
Oh.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fun to believe in that kind of stuff, but don't you think we could just chalk it up to unfortunate coincidence?
It could be that the people performing in previous iterations of the show were just clumsy, or that people were just convinced the play was haunted and let things happen during the production. So does that mean this whole curse is psychological?
Yes. Yes, it does. The gods of medical misinformation from WebMD, right?
Wanting more control or certainty is the driving force behind most superstitions. We tend to look for some kind of rule or an explanation for why things happen. Sometimes the creation of a false certainty is better than no certainty at all. Job interviews, testing, and other situations where we want things to go well, regardless of our own preparation or performance, can curse superstitious thoughts.
We're often in situations in life where something really important is coming up and we just don't know the circumstances surrounding it. And it's just uncertainties like that that just make us a little more insecure. We just don't know. But why does this play have witches? Well, I think that the characters that spout most of the exposition during the play are just completely circumstantial.
I'll use a clip from Roman Polanski's version of Macbeth for an example. I personally like this interpretation of the script because it's the most realistic portrayal of the witches I can think of. Here they are, just burying some bones, muttering incantations, and then they just walk away.
Shakespeare just wanted something to do this creepy weird thing, and it just so happened that witches were the creepiest weird thing at the time. This foreshadowing job could have fallen on anything, like...
gypsies, plague doctors, an animated pumpkin head.
Anything. So it seems as though the Macbeth curse is actually something more pathological.
Hold on a sec. Oh, there we go.
Leonard Bisquick, what are you doing here?
I just feel rather passionate about this nuance of Shakespeare, and I just like to give my 2 cents.
Sure. Why not?
Thank you.
One eternity later.
And that's how I feel about the mysterious nature of the Macbeth curse, and I just don't understand why you're being so meh about it. Oh.
What an outstanding cameo. All in all, this curse does hold some historical merit, but nothing beyond unfortunate circumstances.
The supernatural elements of the play featuring the witches can't help but creep people out, but that's part of the fun when performing this play. People feel like badasses for daring to put on a production with such a negative connotation attached to it.
This is Dustin signing off, but only for now.